In this list we're looking at prefixes, and we're also looking at open and closed syllables. So go through and highlight anything that you can see happening that will make the spelling of these easier. Now I've marked the A here in assist, absorb, as a short vowel, so it's making an at sound or an ut sound. We tend to give it a schwat sound. So that means we must have two consonants after a short sound, short vowel sound. Now the consonants don't have to be the same. So in assist we've got a double letter, but in absorb we've got a B and an S, so they're different. And then when we want to split these into syllables, we're going to actually cut it between the two consonants. Even if they're the same or different, we're splitting them between those two consonants. So it's quite easy if you want to go through and mark those, the short vowel, the double consonant after it, and then splitting it into its syllables. So down here we have a long vowel sound. So after a long vowel sound we have a single consonant, and we always leave these syllables open. So it's left open with a vowel. So we're going to split these words into syllables straight after the long vowel sound. So you can go through and highlight the long vowel sound, and that there's only one consonant after it, and then the split has to be after that long vowel sound. Now the other things you're going to see in here is, once again, we have some R-controlled vowels. So OR is an R-controlled vowel, it makes a long vowel sound. In remark, AR, any vowel with an R makes a long vowel sound, so that tells us we're only using a K after a long vowel sound, not CK. We use CK after a short vowel sound. Now here on reduce, this E is very busy. It's doing two things. It's making the previous vowel U make its long sound, so it's reduce, so we can hear that U in there, and it's also forcing the C to make its sound. So quite often we see CE at the end of a word is used for the sound, because frequently SE at the end of a word is used for the Z sound, like because. Now defend, quite easy. Develop, you've got long vowel sound, so it's an open syllable. Short vowel sound, so we close it, and then we've got another closed syllable at the end there. So do make sure you read these little teaching points at the bottom. Now we're going to go through and have a quick look at what all these words mean. So assist means to give help or permit something. Absorb means to soak up or take in information or a liquid. Consent means to agree or permit something. Consist means composed of or have an essential feature. Construct means to build or to put together. Select means to choose. A remark is to say something casually. Reduce means to lessen something. Defend means to protect or resist an attack. And develop means to grow or cause to grow and become larger or more advanced. So you can go through now and break those words into their syllable, spell them, cover them, and write them 3 times. Now make sure your writing is on the line, and it's a good time to practice your cursive script or running writing. First of all, we want you to go through and read the words, break them into their syllables, spell them, cover them, and write them. So go through and highlight any of those things that we talked about with the long and short vowel sounds and open and closed syllables. So break them into their syllables if you can. Now in this section here you have to fill in the gap with the missing list word from above. Down here it says syllabify the list word and then match it to the meaning. So you know you're going to have to identify the short vowel sounds, construct, you've got 2 short vowel sounds in those, and you can see after it you've got more than 1 consonant. So in remark you've got a long vowel sound, and you can see then you've only got 1 consonant after it. So that's going to be an open syllable. So I'll just go through those 2 as good examples for you. So op is a short vowel. We need to close it with a consonant, so we're going to split it between those 2 consonants. Remark E is a long vowel sound, so it needs to remain open. So we know there's only 1 consonant and it's going into the 2nd syllable. So this is the most important thing you'll ever learn in spelling, because now you're starting to write longer words. the phonics becomes much simpler. And really it's all about long and short vowels and where to break them up into their syllables. Once you've gained that, I say to kids, it's like a million words that you'll be able to spell quite easily. Now when you're matching to the meaning, do use some different coloured highlighters or coloured pencils to make that easier. Now synonym, hopefully by now you've worked out that synonyms and same mean the same thing and that they both start with S. So that may help you remember that you've got to find a word that means the same as a given word, and it's called a synonym. So write the list word to match the picture, very simple, and down the bottom we want you to write a simple sentence that includes the list word. So you're not going to be using any conjunctions in that. When you're going through the process at the top of the page of reading the word, sounding it or syllabifying it, spelling it and writing it, it's a good chance to practice your neatest writing, and that's important that you are able to write neatly and legibly for exams and tests in the future. Otherwise the teacher will just mark your work wrong if they can't read what you've written. So in verb families we've got the base word and we're using it in its different tenses, so we know these words are all verbs. So here you're simply adding the S, adding the ing, and here, when you add the ed can make three different sounds. It can say d, ud, or t, but you have to know to write ed, and we're hearing each of those sounds in these ones. So absorbed, assisted, remarked, and reduced. So fill in the gap with the list word in the correct tense. So all of these words in these sentences, we've given you a little hint, must be verbs. So you're going to be referring to the table, and maybe there's some others as well. Some words can take on different forms. So in these words we've got consent and remark in this list that could be used as both a verb and a noun. So we've done some work with them as verbs, now we're talking about them as nouns, and we want you to use each of those words in a sentence as a noun. Now down here all you have to do is write the base word, so get your highlighter out, work out what the base word is in each of these given words, and then write simply the base word on the lines. Now down the bottom, this is the tricky bit on the page, you have to explain why the word is absorption and not absorption. So why have we changed that B back to a P? I'll give you a bit of a hint. It's quite difficult to say absorption, much simpler to change that B to a P because it's easier to mouth the word. And that's what happens in some words. If it's easier to mouth the word, to say the word, then sometimes we have to change the letter. Before we start this day 4 page, let's just do a little bit of a revision. So hopefully you remember that adjectives give more meanings to a noun and adverbs add to the verb. So nouns can contain both a subject and an object. In a well-formed sentence we often find the subject written first and then the object will follow later in the sentence. So this is about detailed sentences, adding adverbs, adjectives, verbs and nouns. When you write, you want your reader to imagine what you are thinking as clearly as possible. So using precise language is very important. So add description. So in these 3 sentences here, we want you to identify the verb and the 2 nouns. So you're going to find one that's the subject and one that's the object in each of the sentences below. Rewrite the sentences adding an adjective to describe the appearance or personality for each noun. So you're going to have to add an adjective to each noun, and then add an adverb for the verb to describe how the verb is being done. Now I've highlighted it in the first example just to help you. So I've identified the subject of the sentence is the cat. So the sentence is about the cat, that's the noun, the first noun. And the second one is the windowsill. So the verb is telling us, the verb slept, is telling us that that's what the cat was doing, and the object is the windowsill. So you have to add 2 adjectives, one before cat, one before windowsill, and 1 adverb before slept. So go through and highlight the 2 nouns in each of these sentences and the verb, and then you rewrite the sentence with that extra information in it. Increase precision. So sometimes we use words that are too general. Ate when we could say gobbled. Dog when we could say chihuahua. So identify the verb and the two nouns in the sentences below and replace them with more specific nouns and verbs. So the insect flew into the house. You've highlighted your verbs and nouns. Think about a better verb and two better nouns to replace the insect and house in these sentences. Now down the bottom we want you to write 5 detailed sentences. Use precise nouns, and you're going to have adjectives with those nouns, and some precise verbs, and you're going to use adverbs to give extra meaning to those verbs.